show, a place where visionary leaders build a life and business legacy on purpose through mindset, branding, marketing, sales, systems, and team so they can make an amazing impact and income and positively affect their communities worldwide. Ensure that you are sharing this show, you're subscribing, and you also are leaving us a review so we can create more amazing content around those areas to help you level up to the next level and also bring amazing guest experts that can share their knowledge and expertise with you so that you can create amazing legacy. All right, Legacy Builders, welcome back to another show. I hope you've had a really Merry Christmas and a great time with your friends and family. Yesterday, I'm back with you with another amazing conversation, another amazing guest today, and so timely because I know this is actually the last week of December. I can't believe we're made it to the final stretch of this year and we're heading into 2024 with, of course, lots of new goals, lots of new clarity around what is it that we want to do and build. So today, we're going to talk about smart strategies for post-festive financial recovery with an amazing expert, Christopher Hensley. Christopher has such an amazing experience in this area, and I'm so grateful that he's actually come back here at the Life School to share some of those insightful strategies, so to speak, for the financial recovery that we all are looking for. So Christopher, thank you so much for coming on here and looking forward to starting with kind of a few of the most meaningful moments, if you could share with us that lead to this work that you're doing today in the financial space.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, thank you, Elona, for having me on the show. Super excited to be here. The first question that you're asking me is about, kind of how I ended up in the role of financial advisor. For me, I wanted to be a teacher when I started out in the working world, and financial planning and helping clients was kind of a marriage of those two things of being able to teach. I go out, I do a lot of public speaking. I built my business on worksite education and kind of those brown bag lunch seminars, right? And so that kind of checked the box for being able to teach financial planning concepts and helping people. I know a lot of what you talk about is my mission or people's missions, right? My mission was to, go out and educate and teach, but then to also make a living doing the financial planning and helping people with investments and really just getting their financial act together, right?
I love it. So yeah, you mentioned that it's become now your purpose, right? The mission of how you actually feel like you can contribute and you can create impact with the teaching aspect of the financial aspect as well. So I love how you've married both, and I can't wait to learn more around these strategies that we're going to kind of share with our audience today. So let's kind of recap, maybe for our audience, what does it mean to have a financial recovery, so to speak, to you? So we kind of just set up some context, I should say, for our conversation today.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is kind of getting down and dirty, right? Actionable tips here. So when I prepared, I never just wing it. When I prepared for this interview, I looked at your listeners being entrepreneurs and business owners, and I thought, well, do I need to change anything? And I thought, no, I'm a business owner, I'm an entrepreneur, and when we get down to it, all of these things are universal when it comes to Christmas time, right? We all kind of overspend. We have that guilt, right? That feeling of like, oh boy, I went over my budget to get gifts and presents for all of my family members. And what can I do to get back on track? And so, one of the things that I would like to share with people are some very real actionable tips on how to really get back on track. If you've overspent, right? If we're doing a recovery and you've overspent, chances are you didn't really have a plan to start with, right? So you went into shopping for Christmas or the holidays, right? You went into shopping for the holidays without having either a list or a plan or a budget We call it a spending plan, but that's really just a euphemism for a budget, right? So let's call it for what it is. It's a budget, right? You went into the holidays without a budget, and then the marketers told you that you needed some new crap, right? A Black Friday came out, or the day after Thanksgiving, or even today, the day after Christmas. That's a huge shopping, and you're getting all of these things in your feed telling you, the price is reduced on this because companies are trying to get rid of stuff that they have on hand, that they're cleaning inventory and cleaning shelves, and they're selling it back to us. But what does that do? That puts us in a financial bind where 30, 60, 90 days out into 2024, when we should be working on our New Year's goals, our resolutions, we're still trying to dig ourselves out of this hole that we dug ourselves into during the holidays, right?
Well, great point. Thank you for clarifying that. And I could just almost like feel those things.
Me too, right?
So this is absolutely so timely, because a lot of the times, even with us focusing on our company year-to-end goals and kind of being very focused on making those numbers of the quarter and all of that, I could just see how we need to kind of reset and recover and kind of also analyze our personal lives, because sometimes it can become a mess between our financial situation in our companies and also our personal lives. So I love that you kind of clarified that perspective for us. So yeah, let's dive right into some smart strategies to help us kind of just stay focused and clear on those goals and be more purposeful and attentive and intentional. all great keywords we use here a lot. So so share that with us, Christopher. What are some of the strategies that you would like to share with us around it?
Yeah, some of the bigger picture ones, we can directly apply these to our business. So when you mentioned end of the year stuff, I'm looking at my vision traction organizer here. So I'm doing the same thing as a business owner. So we're planning at a kind of a macro level, right? But the stuff I'm going to share with you today is very much individual stuff that you're in control of. So it's going to be stuff we already know. And you're going to be like, Chris, really? This is it? Yes, you know it already. Things that we should be doing. So the number one thing I'm going to say is brown bag it. Take your lunch to work, right? So that's what you're going to say? Yes, that's what I'm going to say. So I'm going to take all the fun away from going out to eat and getting your Starbucks and all of that stuff, as we have the individual and the personal control of dialing in each day when we leave the house, bringing our lunch with us, right? So, what's cool about this is if you're also working on being healthy as a New Year's goal, when you put your lunch together, you actually have the choice of what food you're putting in there, right? So you're cutting down on preservatives. These are going to be things that are, not canned or preserved. This is going to be fresh food. We have leftovers from holidays, right? So we can literally do this and cut that expense right away. Another one that I like to share with people is just the good old fashioned garage sale, right? So what I'm trying to share with you is found money, things that you can do right away to bring money back into your budget, like almost emergency type stuff to get us back on our 30, 60, 90-day plan. It's a little cold outside here in Houston, but you still can do a garage sale, right? And so that you could go into the closet, the garage, and look for things that still have value and literally go out and sell them, right? This is a twofer, because you're minimalizing, you're getting rid of junk and clutter, but you're also bringing $300-400 right away back into your budget right away. Now, if you're not willing to do the garage sale, right? We're in an online world. We're in a virtual world now. So even putting stuff on eBay, going into Facebook Marketplace and selling this stuff, this is almost like upstreaming what you just got for Christmas, right? You got some of the newer technology stuff. This is a good chance to turn around and get that stuff out of the house and bring some money right back into your pocketbook. And then a third one I can give you right away here is competitive pricing, right? Nobody does this. We know it. It's something that we should do. This, the biggest example of this is going to be your cable bill or your phone bill, right? Your cell phone bill. Going back and asking them to either lower the price or to, just what's the best deal that you have going on right now. I can tell you for sure, you're never going to get a phone call from AT&T saying, we're running this deal, right, for new clients that they're coming on board. But it turns out a lot of times, if you reach out to your cell phone provider, your internet provider, even your utilities, you can shop your utilities that way as well and say, I'm thinking about changing companies. What can you do to either lower my expenses, or if they can't do that, can you give us some new technology, right? I know with AT&T, when we switched over, we had routers and modems that were 3 to 4 years old. And a lot of times they'll leave you with that older technology. And then when you're a new client, they're going to give you the very best pricing that you can get and the newest and greatest stuff. So this, at the end of the year, just like with what we do with our business, where we're looking either to lower expenses, raise revenue, we can do the same thing with our personal budget. And it's just that reminder. But the key is always ask for customer retention, right? Because if you just get any old person on the phone, they're going to give you the runaround. The people that are empowered to be able to make these changes on your account are going to be the customer retention department.
I love that. I never heard of that before, but that makes so much sense because retention is such an important metric for most companies. So that's very smart to ask for customer retention department to kind of see if we can wow, I can't even speak. Negotiate new terms is what I meant to say for the things that we actually probably have just been using and take it for granted. And even the other strategies that you share, Christopher, are so easy and so straightforward and within our control, right? And you can free up a lot of cash flow.
Right.
I know that's something that a lot of entrepreneurs and maybe business leaders sometimes maybe struggle with. So I love all those strategies that you shared with us today. I'd love to kind of dive into more of your, I guess, macro level of the work that you do on your day-to-day. So who do you actually help, and what is your specific framework of methodology on how you actually help people?
Yeah. So, since I've been in the business for about 20 years now, my company has evolved. The stuff I'm sharing with you today is really stuff that anybody can use, right? The clients that I work with today typically are 55 and up. So I focus on retirees, right? And I work with state employees, people who have state pension, who are about, 5 to 10 years away from retiring, or on the other side of retirement. And so that's kind of where I live today. But I can tell you a lot of the process that I use for every retiree that comes into the office or that I meet virtually is the same process that I would use with anybody. And that's doing a really good financial plan up front. It's the discovery process where we sit down and we, find out what's important to them. Why are you doing this? Why do you show up each and every day for work, right? At the end of the day, it's not just about the dollar signs. The dollar signs are important, but all of the other stuff is what motivates us to go to work or do the things that, wake us up in the morning to get into the office, right? So it's the same thing with retirement. It's the same thing with any financial goal, whether it's buying your first home, purchasing a car, taking a vacation. It's usually those big goals with something at the end of the rainbow, right? Compared to just the dollar sign. If I tell you, you need to put $200 in a savings account, that's not going to motivate you to get where you need to be, right? And if it's something like retirement, this is something for younger people. It's 20, 30 years down the road. That is one of the reasons I picked working with the older clients, because a lot of them, they've either done it or it's not going to happen. So, and I could share with you, kind of the worst case scenarios if you don't do that planning, and you're just living off of Social Security. What people get for Social Security doesn't replace your current income, right? It's just a percentage of what you're used to living off of. So we always start with a good financial plan, and then And then the investment management piece, that's huge. I am an active an investment manager, so I use something called total return or absolute return. This models the same kind of investment strategy that a pension uses, but it's the idea of trying to get as much as we can during the up years, but we're focusing on capital preservation. We're trying to lop off the drawdowns and the down years. But that does, that's what a lot of times, once you've already made the money and you're retiring, it's not all about knocking it out of the park. It's like, okay, we've already made the money. We just don't want to lose money, right? We want to preserve it as long as we can. And so the math problem becomes this bucket of money that we have now. How can we make that last throughout your lifetime without ever running out? So that tends to be the goal of the people I work with today.
Yeah, I love that you take that holistic approach. And just like you said, nobody's going to get motivated by just like, oh, I have to budget or save an extra 200 for the month. But when it's actually connected to the bigger reason, the bigger vision of what they want to create in their lives, what it means to them, and tied with the emotional side and all these different things, then, it makes sense. It's worth the, I guess, the focusing on that goal, and it's even worth the obstacles that one might face to get to that level, right? So whether it's 100, 200, a million, 2 million, 5 million, right, it's always the same mindset shifts that we go through, actually. And that would be my next question for you, Christopher, because since you do this work with so many people in the financial aspect, what are some money mindset shifts that we need to, I guess, make as we become more savvy investors, as we become more aware around our finances, as we start to become more intentional in making these personal financial decisions that are going to move us forward faster towards our goals that you have actually seen that you could share with us?
Yes, the number one biggest, most important mental mindset or mental shift that we should take is saving. And I know that really that's what you're going to say, saving. That's so general, right? But let me tell you why. Paying yourself first. You don't have a long line of people standing behind you saying, hey, you need to pay yourself first, right? Just like AT&T is not going to reach out and tell you we've got a new deal for people coming on board. You're not going to get that phone call. So you have to get really, really good at savings. And everybody likes the investment piece. That's the sexy piece, right? When people walk in, they want, help me with my investments. How can I get my money to grow? But what I found after 20 years of working with people, the most successful financial people that are millionaires, they have that habit of consistently saving on a weekly, monthly basis, right? Out of sight, out of mind. They put it on autopilot and it's going into their 401ks. It's going into their savings account. These are people that wear blue jeans and shop at Walmart, but they've got net worth over $1 million, right? So I encourage people that habit. It's almost like exercising, just that routine daily of putting money aside and saving for yourself. That is the mental shift that the most successful people that I see make. I would encourage people to do that. Yep.
I love that you mentioned that, because for some time I thought that might be an old model of becoming financially wealthy, because now there's so many opportunities, so many ways that we can reinvest our money. And just like you said, it's it serves you to think like an investor, especially in your life, in your business, that whatever you're buying, is it important enough for you, and is it actually connected to the bigger goals that you have happening? Because a lot of times that we purchase things, we might purchase them emotionally, just like we might emotionally eat. It's not something that we need, but once we figure out why that where that comes from, we can completely remove a lot of that, maybe even purchasing that specific material thing or that investment decision that we will be making. So with investing, is it still recommended the 6 months emergency plan? Like, give us like more information around like how should we structure? Let's say we already have the habit that we are whatever we can do monthly, we are already setting it aside and saving it. Now, what's the strategy behind savings? What should we be saving for, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, so really, even structuring your cash, right? What I use a cash management system here. So the investments are past that once you have your 3 to 6 months of committed living expenses, but you alluded to the idea that there's something bigger out there than just the cash, right? And so that's the opportunities, but you won't ever be in a position that you can take advantage of those opportunities if you don't have your cash cushion, your safety net, right? The people who take the risk putting money into the market, they don't just take that risk, right? They have that 3 to 6 months of committed savings that they can fall back onto if an emergency comes up. If somebody gets sick, the car breaks down, they give themselves permission to spend out of that safety net. So that is a huge piece of it. But there are some things that we can do to be more efficient just on that side, right? What I like to do is I like to see people have a 3-rung approach to their cash savings even, right? So using a savings account or a money market's going to get you a little bit higher interest than an interest-bearing checking account, right? We've seen, even now, some of the competition I have on brokered CDs and fixed or stable value is going to be the banks because of what's been going on in interest rates. This is something very specific to today. The conversation I'm having with clients is like, if I go to Wells Fargo or Chase, I can get 4% on a savings account. 2 years ago, it was less than 1%, right? So the idea, we're not trying to move mountains, but yeah, we want to get as much interest out of our cash as we can. So having that first rung is a checking, interest-bearing checking, a money market or savings account should be the second rung, and so you should get a little bit higher interest in that. And the third one is either CDs or bonds. But for years, we've been in a place where CDs and bond interest rates aren't attractive enough to get people out of cash, right? And so they are now. And what's interesting is, as of today, shorter duration CDs and bonds, so anything that's under 12 months, 9 months seems to be the sweet spot. I use brokered CDs, so my universe isn't just Chase or Wells Fargo. It becomes the entire United States. They're still FDIC insured, right? But you could even do this with go into shopping the bank rates, and then I like to ladder them. So instead of just getting one CD for 12 months, get one for 3 months, wait, get one for 6 months, get one for 9 months, and get one for 12 months. Right now, we're at a really weird spot where that 9-month one seems to give you a higher rate. There's no advantage to going out past 12 months. And because we don't really know what's going to happen with interest rates next year, we got a good feeling, but the Fed always comes back and surprises us, right? Going out past 12 months, there's not really an advantage, or at least they're not rewarding us with that by giving us a higher interest rate.
Yeah, well, thank you for that, because that makes a lot of sense. It's almost like building blocks. And if you don't have that foundation, we're always chasing ahead for the opportunity. Again, how are we ever going to get to that? So I like that, you kind of laid down the groundwork with as far as what we should have as far as our emergency funds, because even now, it's hard. There's a lot of hard times for people financially. And I know a lot of people even tapping into their 401ks, unfortunately, because maybe, they haven't thought of setting those foundational blocks. And for many people, this could be a great, obviously challenging time, but also a great lesson and opportunity moving forward in the future to kind of lay those foundational, bricks in their financial aspects, so to speak, because again, you just never know, right? That's why it's there, so that you are helping and preparing yourself for sure. Christopher, I want to thank you for everything that you just shared with us in your area of expertise and amazing strategies, and also a lot of great information that I also, took away a few things, and I'm sure people listening will absolutely do so. At the end of the interview, I actually like to ask my guests to fill in the blanks for a few questions that I feel the most inspired to actually ask you. So I would love to ask you to fill in this blank. If you can share with us, the best advice in leadership I've received is?
The best advice in leadership that I received is never ask anybody to do something that you're not willing to do yourself. Now, as you grow your business, you're going to try to delegate and you're going to try to automate and you're going to try to take things off of your plate. But if your goal is to lead and grow people up, and you really do care about your staff and your employees, you should not ask them to do something that you're not willing to do yourself, so that you're an authority on it, that you have the experience and you can share that experience and grow people, right?
I love that. All right. Awesome. My next question for you, fill in the blank, is my purpose in business is?
So my purpose in business is to be a good steward and to teach people to be a good steward on their finances, right? And stewardship is really being able to make choices about resources intelligently and smartly. Is smartly a word? Efficiently, right? And so teaching people to be good stewards to their family and to their finances as well.
All right. And my last one is I overcome challenges by.
Yes, I overcome challenges by being persistent. Um, Always remembering that it could be worse, right? When we do have those kind of Murphy's Law things that come up and those bad things that up in life, do not let them get you down. Just keep going. That's easy to say, not always easy to do, right?
Exactly. The implementation is where we need the most support always. But even just mindset shifts, I think help a lot. I think that's where everything begins. Also with the way that we think about things. And gratitude is always one of those things that even now in the holidays, it's this time to reflect back and kind of count our blessings. Because obviously as humans, we always will be chasing for things and trying to improve ourselves and evolve. And there's always the next and the next. But unless we also are grateful for what is it that we actually have, how is it that we can also feel fulfilled when we actually do receive those things. So Christopher, again, thank you so much for all this amazing information. Thank you so much for the amazing work that you're doing out there in the world, creating impact and aligning your purpose with profits. And I would love to actually also invite you to share. I know you have an amazing podcast out there in the world that teaches people a lot of these different strategies and the education piece in the financial wealth area. So what is the name of your podcast and where is it that people can take a listen to that?
Absolutely. So I've got Money Matters podcast. Okay. So Money Matters, very common podcast name. I thought I was being unique, but we do, I wasn't, but we do have moneymatterspodcast.com. So that's where you can find us at. And we are on our 10-year anniversary. So I'm doing a podcast tour celebrating that. And I would encourage listeners, one of the things I'd like to ask is, if you hear it and you like it, go to the YouTube channel and give us a subscribe because the YouTube channel is fairly young. The podcast is 10 years old. The YouTube channel's only been around for a couple of years. Yep.
So the podcast is a decade old. Like that means commitment to me, to your mission, like 10 years that you've actually done it. Because, I know in the world of starting many things, we don't always sustain what we do. But see, I mean, it goes to show that you're doing it for the right reason. That just the fact that it's been around that many years, helping people that are listening to that. So definitely go check out the podcast. And I think we have an interview together on there as well. And that will be fun for folks to go check out. And also, where is it that you host the best resources that you have besides your podcast? Where is your best work out there, which probably is your website?
Yeah, I can point people to my website, houstonfirstfinancialgroup.com. We have a media room in there. So if you actually click on the media room, you'll see different articles. And, I've recently been in U.S. News and retirement living, and we're working with babyboomers.org. So there's other resources out there that I'm helping and working with. But that's a good place to look. You can kind of see what we've been doing in the last year or so in that area and learn about it. Yep.
All right. Well, definitely connect with Christopher. His connection is one of very important value here at the Life School. And I want to thank you for listening and thank you for supporting us always and sharing this podcast with other purpose-driven entrepreneurs and CEOs. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody. I want to share with you the 4 books that would change your life personally and professionally. So the first book is Connecting the Dots Backwards, one of the books I've written that will help you connect the dots between your past, your present, and your future life vision. You will find topics in there around marketing, sales, spirituality, relationships, all the areas that you need to be fulfilled as a human being. The second book that I've written, which is a journal, accompanies the Connecting with the Dots book. And this journal will help you apply the information that you learn in the book into a journal. It has self-guided questions that you can go through and into to get the clarity that you need to discover your values, your vision, and your mission. This is a journal attaching the book as well. And then Purpose Driven Entrepreneurship is my latest book, where I have included my legacy framework in building legacy businesses, everything from mindset, branding, marketing, sales, systems, and team. And I have connected all the dots between all those areas so that you have the fundamentals that you need to build a truly legacy empire. And then my latest creation is the Focus on Purpose Planner for increased productivity and efficiency, where I have included a framework around your productivity where you can plan ahead, work on purpose, and leave amazing impact on the planet with your work. You can find any of my books on the website below, elonaloparicoaching.com books. And definitely grab your copy. Let me know, leave me a review on Amazon, and let me know how this book has impacted you and changed your life.